So in this program, we are just modifying the grading program so that we can get the highest and the lowest grade. If we wanted to get the mean, and the medium, we could also do that, but let's just stick with the highest and the lowest grade. So what we're going to do here is we need to have a function, another function, and we'll just call it get highest. And we're going to use an integer array. So I'm going to write it and then make sure one of you guys reminds me to call it so we don't have to do everything again. So now we need to put in, we're passing grades. And again, you can call this whatever you want. So we need an integer called highest. So what we're going to be doing in this, we're going to set the highest to 0, and then we're going to check each grade to see if that grade is higher than that. Now, the first one is definitely going to be higher because it's 0, or it might be the same. So let's go in here and just do again let's just set it up for I equals, in fact, I'm just going to copy this here. So now we just need a simple thing. Now, make sure that you don't confuse highest and lowest. It's very easy to do. So we're going to do here, if grades of I is greater than highest,
Are you after a drink or something tonight? You keep saying high test.
Apparently, no, that's my spell check, but that does sound like a good idea. So now it's very easy to do if grades of I is lower than highest, or if highest is greater than grades of I. It's very easy to do. If that's the case, then highest, I won't put high test, equals grades of I. And that's all that you need to do. And then let's just return highest. I think I have an extra return statement. So we need to put this down here. So if the first grade is 90, then highest should be 90. If the second grade is 92, then highest will become 92. Otherwise, nothing will happen. So let's see what happens. And then the lowest would basically be the same thing, only we would just do if grades of I is lower than the lowest. So let's call this get highest grade. So we need a integer. And you can do it this way, or you can put it separately if you want to separate the arrays from that, because it's just an integer. So we're going to do, in this particular case, get grades. So we're getting the grades. Here's the average. So let's go and highest grade equals get highest, and we just need to pass grades, and then we'll do C out the highest grade is highest grade. All right. So let's go and run this puppy and see what happens. So we'll do 90, 92, 99, 96, 100, and 95. And let's see what happens. So the highest grade should be 100. The highest grade is 100. So now let's run it again. John, do you want to do you do your Excel magic? I'll leave this up. Our resident Excel expert has just verified that this is correct. So that's a good sign. So now we're going to do the same thing and we'll do the lowest. So now we need another function that is returns an integer, and it's the get lowest. Alright, so we can pretty much copy this code here. Now this time we want an integer called lowest. And if grades of high is less than lowest, let's take a look at this in here. Make sure that we're doing it right. So if grades of high is less than lowest, because right now the first grade always has to be in here. So we did if grades of I is greater than highest, so we might want to change it to if lowest is less than it. So we'll reverse it. That's what I was telling you in the beginning. You have to be very careful when you're doing this. So if lowest is less than grades of I, let's see. Then lowest equals grades of I. Alright, so let's take a look at it, make sure that we're doing it right. So the first time around, lowest is 0. So it's saying if lowest is less than grades of I, which it should be because grades of I would be 90, then we want lowest equals grades of I in here. And then we'll do the rest of it and test it in there. So we're going to start off with high grades and we'll put one low grade in. Maybe we'll do a 92. So we need to call the get lowest. Do we have a lowest grade? No, we do not. So we have lowest grade equals 0. And alright, so this looks good. Let's see what happens. So we're doing 99, 100, 98, 90, let's do 95, then let's do 92, and 97. So the lowest grade is 0, so obviously we have an error in here. So let's go and fix that, see what's going on here. So if...
I think you forgot to do the return.
I think that might be an issue. Thank you for that. Man, I hardly have to do anything. Thank you. You guys are good. All right, let's try it again. So we'll do 99, 100, 95, 98, 92, and 97. So the highest grade is, and the lowest grade is 100. All right, so we have a logic error here, which is good. So let's take a look at our function here. And this helps you to do this. So if the lowest grade is there. So now what we need to do is, if the lowest grade is, let's look at this in lowest equals grades of I. So if lowest grade is less than. All right, so this is what I want to do. I kind of did this on purpose because the lowest grade is always going to be lower than a grade that's higher. So this is why I was saying I wanted to kind of show you different things that can happen. So in this particular case, you have to be very, 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 very careful of how you're doing things in here. Because notice that every time you do something in here, so we probably want to do in here. So I want you to take a look at this, and I want you to see if you can figure out what exactly you want to do. So the lowest grade will never become anything if it's 0. So what we need to do, if I equals 0, then what we need to do is we need to set the lowest grade let's see, lowest grade it's just plain lowest, okay, equals grades of, you can put grades of 0, grades of I, doesn't really matter. So for our purposes, let's put grades of 0. So now let's take a look at what we have here. If lowest equals get grades of 0,
Yeah,
good
get
job.
grades. Yeah.
All right, so now the first time we do this, we know that we're going to set the lowest grade to whatever we put in here. So now what we need to do, if grades of high, so now we can check to see if lowest is less than grades of I, but really what we want to do, if grades of I is less than the lowest, then the lowest then becomes grades of I in here. So let's try that right now and see if this works. Okay, are you following what I'm long is? We start off with, say, the first grade is 99, where the lowest is 99. Well, the second grade is 97. Well, if the grades of I, which is going to be 97, is going to be less than the lowest. So then it would become 97 in there. And then if we did, say, like 98, well, grades of I is not less than 97. So let's run this and see what happens. So again, let's do 99, 95, then we'll do 100, 92, 96, and 98. So if we did this right, the lowest should be 92 and the highest should be 100. And the highest grade is 100 and the lowest is 92. So that takes care of that.